What if I told you the moment you stop caring what people think is the moment you actually begin to live? Not in a reckless way, not in a selfish way, but in a psychologically integrated way. Carl Jung believed that most people never become who they truly are. Why? Because they are possessed by the need to be liked, to be approved of, to be accepted, to fit in. And in that process, they abandon themselves. Today, we're diving into Carl Jung's psychology of not giving a fuck, not as rebellion, not as apathy, but as individuation. The persona, the mask you wear. Jung introduced the idea of the persona. The persona is the mask you wear to function in society. The nice version of you, the acceptable version, the filtered version. You don't say what you really think. You don't express what you really feel. You adjust your personality depending on who's watching. And the more you depend on approval, the stronger the mask becomes. But here's the problem. When you over-identify with the persona, you forget who you are underneath it. That's where suffering begins. Why you care so much. The need for approval isn't weakness, it's survival. As children, acceptance equals safety. Rejection equals danger. So your nervous system learns, if I'm liked, I survive. That wiring doesn't disappear when you grow up. It just becomes more subtle. Now it looks like over-explaining yourself, avoiding conflict, people-pleasing, being afraid to disappoint others. You don't fear being wrong, you fear being rejected, and that fear controls your decisions. Jung would say, you are not living your life. You are living the life your persona thinks will keep you safe. What you suppress. According to Jung, everything you reject in yourself becomes part of your shadow. Your anger, your selfishness, your ambition, your desire to say no. When you try too hard to be good, polite, liked, you push parts of yourself into the unconscious. But the shadow doesn't disappear. It waits, and it leaks out as passive aggression, resentment, sudden emotional outbursts, secret envy. Here's the paradox. The more you try to be liked, the more psychologically fragmented you. Not giving a fuck is integration. Jung didn't teach emotional numbness. He taught integration. Not giving a fuck doesn't mean you don't care about anyone. You're cold. You're detached from humanity. It means you are no longer enslaved by external validation. It means you can disappoint someone and still remain whole. You can say no without collapsing into guilt. You can be misunderstood without needing to defend your identity. That is psychological strength. That is individuation. Individuation is Jung's term for becoming your true self. It requires facing your shadow, accepting your darker impulses, letting go of the need to be perfect. Because here's the truth. If everyone likes you, you are probably diluted. A fully individuated person will trigger others. Why? Because authenticity disrupts people who are still wearing masks. When you stop over-caring, you stop shrinking. The cost of always caring. Let's be honest. Caring too much feels noble, but it's exhausting. You monitor your tone, your words, your reactions, your image. You become hyper-aware of how you're perceived. That constant self-surveillance creates anxiety. Jung believed that neurosis often comes from being divided against yourself. One part of you wants approval. Another part wants freedom. The tension between those parts, that's inner conflict. And the only way out is integration. The shift. So how do you begin to not give a fuck psychologically? 1. Notice when you're performing. 2. Notice when you're suppressing honest emotion. 3. Allow small acts of authenticity. 4. Tolerate disapproval without overcorrecting. You don't become indifferent overnight. You become aligned. You start asking, am I doing this because it's true to me or because I want to be liked? That question alone is transformative. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Becoming who you truly are requires something terrifying, the willingness to be disliked. Not because you're cruel, but because you're real. The psychology of not giving a fuck isn't about apathy, it's about wholeness. And wholeness is worth more than approval.